You know who's in the beginning of this movie?
Omar Epps.
Omar Epps.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott.
Bon voyage.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. That's correct.
I saluted
We
when I
start
did that
from the
too.
ending.
Yeah. Bon voyage. Today's episode is Memento.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We begin at the end.
That would be really strange. Remember we were no, we weren't talking about that at all.
It is funny.
We start talking about, remember when we talked about this, and then we talk about it later.
That's right. Well, it is weird because sometimes we will reference because we do some chatting beforehand, and we'll be like, oh, we talked about this, but it comes like 2 hours later in the episode and the outtakes. Yeah.
Yep. Also from music video sins Barrett Share.
Oh, hey, that's me.
Yes. And hey, so we have a Patreon.
That's right. We actually just did a hangout with the patrons, the members of our Patreon last week, actually. And it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And we love talking to you people. And that's one of the perks that you get for being a member of our Patreon. You get to live hang out with us in the studio once a month. You get a tier where you can control our content, like you can vote on stuff. You can see if you want a mini pod like Bohemian Rhapsody.
Mm-hmm.
You get bonus SinCast content. You get everything early. There's a bunch of stuff that you get as a member.
Yeah. And, there are 3 different tiers. So $3, $5, and $10.
That's it.
Is that right? And very, very, very soon announcing something cool coming in the spring that will be for all members. All members of the Patreon will be enriched in some way by this event, and we're very excited about it. But again, we know not everybody has the extra cash laying around right now, but if you do later, you'll still get back access. You'll be grandfathered in to all the secret stash cool shit.
Yes.
So anyway, come on over and hang out.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and thank you all for all of you who've already joined.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so today we're going to go back on our road trip.
Road trip.
On the road again. The most time-honored tradition of all, the road trip. Oh, the places you'll go.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
And we're going to go to Ohio
Yeah, man.
today.
This state was my nemesis growing up.
Oh, yeah?
Going west to east because my family all lived out on the East Coast and we lived in Indiana for most of my youth. And so we always had to cross Ohio and it felt like a 92-hour state.
Is it flat?
It's flat as fuck. And you just, at least the interstate, and you just, but in all seriousness, it's like 8 hours to get from one side to the other.
Oh, geez.
Whereas from Nashville, I can get to Chicago in about 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had...
maybe it's more like 10 or 11.
No, it's about 8.
I had a couple of early Ohio experiences in Cleveland. We had relatives that lived up there, and remember, I guess it was 1989 because I saw Batman when I was out there.
Oh, really?
And I saw Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Nice.
But some of my longest lasting baseball memories. I'm not a fan of the Indians at all, but we went to 2 Indians games in 2 different trips.
Wow.
And I saw Bo Jackson hit a home run.
Awesome.
I saw Jim Abbott pitch.
Ooh, cool.
I saw Joe Carter kick something out in the outfield, and a water sprinkler came on.
Now, didn't they get a new stadium somewhere in the 90s?
Yeah.
Because I went to the one before.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was called.
Cleveland Stadium, I think.
Okay, so I went to a game there, and then they tore it down and built a new one. I haven't ever been back
Yeah,
to
the
a
one
game.
that's in Major League, that's where, you went.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then Jacobs Field was like 92, somewhere
All right,
around
that's what I
there,
thought.
93. Anyway, Ohio has quite a few movies, actually.
It really does, man.
And a lot of these right off the bat, I haven't seen. The Fifth Wave is one I have not seen.
And yet you have.
Yeah.
This is with
You're
Chloe
right.
Grace, right?
Yeah, it is. And I saw
Moretz.
your email. I hope somebody has seen this, and I have. And I can't tell you a goddamn thing about it.
Is this the same stock?
Yes, it's the Death
Young
Cure
adult.
Huntress in the woods with the magic. This is you remember the trailer. The first
Yeah.
wave was this. The second wave was this.
Yeah.
Just a post-apocalyptic teenage girl finding her brother, saving the whatnot. And
Yeah.
I honestly can't get it up to even tell you how bad it was.
It's a YA adaptation in the spirit of Hunger Games, Insurgent, Divergent, those type, and Maze Runner.
Yep.
I have seen like one piece of this. It was like her running across a freeway or something. That's the only thing that I've seen. It was a big to do when I went out to Little Rock to visit my family, and they had their TV set on that weird setting where everything looks live, and you know you'll talk to them. Oh, I like it that way. You do,
Dude,
okay.
dude, let me tell you, I've done that. I've made the conversion,
Yeah.
and I don't even notice it. I had a friend come over the other day, and he was like, "Wow, this looks weird," and I'm like, "What?" Because you get used to it over like a period of a week.
I will never get used to it.
I think you will.
Never.
I'm telling you.
Unconvert.
Yeah. That's not the way that movie was shot.
Now my eyes are going at super.
That is
speed.
not the way the director made that movie.
Remember Pan and Scan?
Yes.
That was some fucked up shit.
Oh, that was fucked up. But yeah, I heard nothing but bad things about the Fifth Wave when it came out, and I don't think it's very good. I don't know how how Ohio gets involved.
You know what though? The first wave was badass,
Yeah.
but by the time I got to the fifth wave,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah.
it's like Rocky V,
Right,
versus the
right.
first Rocky.
Yeah. Well, that means the fourth wave was dope. then.
Yeah. They cured communism.
Yeah, they did.
And patriotic as fuck.
Yeah. The next one is Accepted. Ask me about my wiener.
Yeah, man.
Oh, this is Dude Man and
Justin,
whatchamacallit.
it's Justin Long. But
Make your own university.
it's Justin
That's right.
Long, and then Jonah Hill and his like a very early, he played a fat guy role, basically fat guy nerd role. Like that's what he was destined to be at one point. But he broke out. Jonah Hill did.
He did.
Accepted is about a guy who's tired of the admissions rules of colleges, and he creates his own, but it's a bullshit college all the way. It's like Trump University, but with like Justin Long creating it or whatever.
Well, and it's like make your own curriculum. It's like the most laissez-faire education possible.
Yeah.
Like there's I'm gonna learn how to skateboard. Boom, we got a skateboarding
Yeah.
program.
And of course, everything comes together, and Lewis Black is the administrator and everything, and he's an irascible. I don't even know what he is, but he's like unemployed, and he's just like, fuck, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Is Blake Lively in this?
Yeah, man.
Somebody young.
Blake Lively.
Is it Blake Lively?
Mhm.
I thought it was what's her name? That was
Amber Tamblyn?
No,
One of the other
Amber
traveling
Tamblyn.
pantses.
The girl that was in Disturbia. I thought that's who it was.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah. It's a decently funny
Yeah, I
movie.
enjoyed it.
I think it's funny.
It's preposterous, but it's decently funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can have a good time if you don't go in. Well, you can have a good time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put any more qualifications
And
on
like
it.
he has to try like every one of these college movies. I mean, it's basically like one of those frat movies, like Old School.
Yeah.
Where they have to get some sort of like legitimization of sorts, and they need to get accredited.
He has to give a big speech.
Yeah, they need to get sort of accredited to become a legitimate university and everything, which is fucking like ridiculous.
Yeah, man.
But anyway, yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
This was Steve Pink that did this. Did Hot Tub Time Machine, and he wrote Gross Point Blank and High Fidelity.
Oh yeah.
If I could change, and you could change, we all could change.
He wrote that speech too.
Everybody could
Yeah.
change.
Then there's Against the Ropes, which I think I remember Meg Ryan being in
Oh,
that
yeah.
movie.
And okay, I remember this movie a little bit,
Yeah.
but she was smoking hot in this movie.
Yeah.
When did this movie come out?
2004,
It was
5-ish.
2004, and Omar Epps is in it.
Wow.
And
She's
This
like
movie's lost
a
to time.
gambling agent or a
she's
sports
a
agent or
boxing
something like that.
promoter.
Yeah.
Oh, she's Don King.
Yeah.
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 It's just a gender and race swapped Don King story.
Yeah. Yeah. Charles S. Dutton directed it.
Oh,
And
wow.
is in it. Tony Shalhoub's in it. Tim Daly. Hey, we got a little
Tony
A little Wings connection.
Yeah. But I feel like I've seen this,
I think you probably
but
have.
I don't remember anything.
It's not very memorable, but it's weird because right around this time, when was In the Cut? Was that 03, 04?
It was
something
02
like
or
that?
03.
Meg Ryan went from being America's sweetheart to where I guess she was in her late 30s, early 40s or something like that, where she started getting like sexy.
Yeah.
And God bless her, because, I was.
Yeah, she was,
I a
and,
fan.
and before people take that wrong, she was always the cute girl,
She was the girl next door.
Yeah, girl next door.
Yeah.
I mean, she tried to dirty up that image in Courage Under Fire and everything.
But then she did
Whether
You
or
Got Mail.
not, whether or not you feel like her performance is successful in Courage Under Fire is another thing. But then, I think like a lot of actors, they like, well, I'm tired of being this one thing. And so she did In the Cut, which was a really just completely.
That's a fucked up movie, man.
Yeah, it is. And, but then, Against the Ropes, I think is just your typical Meg Ryan movie, only she's.
Yeah, she's like a bad, like the daughter of like an old school badass promoter type of thing.
And she meets cute over email with the son of another old school badass. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then we have American Splendor, which I haven't gotten through this entire list, but this has got to be one of the top Ohio movies.
I agree. This is Cleveland as fuck, by the way.
Yes, it is.
This is I saw this once.
Yeah.
I remember liking and respecting it, but it was before I had my Paul Giamatti awakening and was truly able to appreciate his craft. I need to go back to it.
It
now.
is an unusual narrative because it does this biopic style kind of thing, but it's more of a dramatization more than it is a biopic.
Mm-hmm.
But it also includes the real people in it, and the characters interact with the real people at times in some like segments and everything. But Paul Giamatti, yet again, in one of many performances you could point to and say he should have got nominated for that, didn't get nominated.
Yeah, because he's not himself. Like Paul Giamatti, even when he's playing in fucking Private Parts or like Donnie Brasco or something like that, or even Sideways, there's a little Paul Giamatti in him. He's got the nasally voice, he's got that kind of thing. In this, he becomes Harvey Pekar, who is a singular person.
Yeah, absolutely. And he does these. Harvey Pekar was known for doing these comic books that were about his life and were very real, like exactly what happened goes into the comic books and everything. And he got this cult following. And who is it? Is it Hope Davis? Yeah, Hope Davis is in it and plays his wife or his girlfriend or his wife. I can't remember what it was. But this is very, very good. And Judah Friedlander is amazing in it. In fact, he sounds and acts exactly like that real dude.
Yeah.
And everything. And I love his little thing about it's like I'm going into town to watch Revenge of the Nerds. it gives I can't remember the whole thing, but he's like, it finally empowers nerds.
Harvey Pekar, man. What's crazy about this is the relationship that he has with David Letterman. One of the crazy things. There's many crazy things in this. And probably the reason that Jeremy, you weren't like super into it is because he's not a likable person at all.
Right.
Like the stuff he puts in the comic books is not like necessarily entertaining. It's just real and it's interesting and it's from a certain perspective, a very clear perspective. And the people that Letterman used to hang out with were just like the island of misfit toys, fucking Howard Stern before he was huge and fucking, Warren Zevon and like these guys that he really respected were all these malcontents. Yeah. And he himself was one. And it's just really interesting.
Yeah. But American Splendor is a great movie, and I would highly recommend watching that. Annie Oakley, I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I've heard of her.
Something with a rifle.
Yeah.
This was probably made in the 40s. When was this made?
It was 1935.
Annie, get your gun.
That's right. Barbara Stanwyck played Annie Oakley, and she was this sharpshooter that showed a guy up when he came to town and joined Buffalo Bill's traveling review or whatever it was.
Excellent.
And it's adorable.
Okay.
I saw it when I was a kid, and I remember thinking, that's pretty cool that a girl can shoot that well.
Barrett's a nerd.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I identify as a nerd.
You'll see Revenge of the Nerds.
Then we have, I've never seen this. This was a TV movie, Babes in Toyland, which had Drew Barrymore, who was like 11 years old, and Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Who was about 20 at the time.
Yeah, this was, I remember seeing this not on TV when it aired or whatever it was, but on video later on. Like, she's not really into, this is Drew Barrymore, like super young. What was it, 86?
She was 11 years old.
She was 11. Yeah, so relatively, I guess, not super young for Drew Barrymore. But yeah, she doesn't like toys, and then she gets transported to this Toyland and everything, and it's nice.
And they change her mind?
Yeah.
I mean, is she horrified at first?
Yeah, she thinks everything is weird.
But I'm saying, like, if you hated clowns and you got sent to an island full of clowns, you'd be like,
she didn't
wig out.
She doesn't hate toys. She just doesn't play with toys.
I
I think she's a tomboy.
She's
or
like
something
toy
like
agnostic.
Yes.
Yes.
She's toy agnostic, and she becomes a believer in toys.
She neither can state fully whether toys exist or if they do.
Eileen Brennan, Richard Mulligan. There's some good people in this. Pat Morita, Mr. Morita.
Oh, Pat Morita.
Yeah.
Then we have, when I think of Ohio, I think of their sandy beaches. Back to the beach.
Well,
did you ever see this?
No.
Did you ever see this?
No.
what is this?
Okay, so Back to the Beach. I think this was also a TV movie. Maybe it was released theatrically. So this is Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello.
Oh, it's one of those movies.
Oh, so it's like 20 years later.
Yeah, they've grown up. They've got kids. They've got 2 kids. One of is Lori Loughlin, actually, from Full House.
Oh, really?
And so their daughter, Lori Loughlin, wants to go, and I think they're going to Hawaii or something like that, but they live in Ohio. And so the whole thing is they have to stop in California. I've seen this movie like probably 25 times or
No
so.
way.
I swear to God. Because
you were a fucking liar.
No, seriously, because it's one of those VHSs that I had that was safe for everyone to watch, so I watched it a million times. And so, so I can embarrassingly quote this movie. So they stop in California. They've been trying to get away from their past of partying and stuff like that, beach parties and beach blanket bingo and stuff like that, and they get sucked back into that lifestyle and everything. And but they're from Ohio.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds like a blast.
And is it Laughlin or is it Laughlin? I always had said Laughlin.
I think I've always said Laughlin. But I haven't really put a whole lot of thought into it. So.
That was probably that's along with Winnie Cooper. One of my first crushes was Lori Loughlin.
And who? What was her name on Full House? You probably know
Becky.
And
I
Becky.
didn't watch that. I didn't watch that shit.
Yeah,
Is she on Fuller House?
I think they're all on that.
Yeah, except for
the twins.
the Olsen twins. I did watch that shit. I don't know why I watched that shit, but I did.
Did you watch Fuller House or just Full House?
No, never watched Fuller House.
Yeah, I watched Full House too.
I watched Full House. I watched all that Friday night stuff.
So Bob Saget is back on Fuller House?
They're all back on there except for the twins. My wife is one of the reasons they keep making that show.
That's interesting that
Because she
he's
watches
gone
it
back.
and says, wow, this is terrible. I'm going to watch another episode. Because she's nostalgic for the first one, and it fulfills that.
That's hilarious.
Which is the era we live in now. And that's all anything is. Did you know that fucking Disney's Dumbo, Aladdin, and Lion King live-action movies are all coming out this summer?
Yeah, they are.
They're all coming out within 4 months of each other.
Wow. Wow.
Like, maybe we're oversaturating a bit? Like, can we hit 800 million with each of these fucking things that close together? Not to mention you got all the Marvel shit in there.
I don't know, man. That's an interesting question.
Spread it out, right? Give us one a year like a Star Wars film. If you're gonna, you've only got so many animated movies, Disney. You're gonna burn through all of them by 2021 and have nothing to remake.
As we've said, I think after these, they'll start doing cartoon remakes.
Oh, cartoon remakes of like they're like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yes, they'll start. Well, not Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. They'll do another Lion King.
Oh, but with like anime.
But it'll be another 20 years or something, or they'll do 3D, or they'll do computer animation.
It'll be Simba into the Lionverse.
Yeah. they're like, you know what? You know, back in the Matthew Brodericks and James Earl Joneses and Jonathan Taylor Thomases of the world, they don't appeal to today's kids. We need to put, we need to get, I don't know, who do we get to be Simba in that?
Jacob Tremblay?
Yeah, we get Jacob Tremblay to be that guy. Then we have Omar Epps as then we have Bye Birdie, which I don't know if I've seen the movie. I know
Have you seen the play?
Well, I was supposedly in that play in high school.
Oh, really?
He was so drunk he can't remember.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. I was in that play, but it was some sort of last minute fucking thing, and they were going to let me read off cue cards. So because I was playing some sort of announcer guy that was introducing segments and everything, and there was one point where the cards all blew, like flipped out of my hands, and like they were all out of order.
Oh, no.
And so like I had no idea what to fucking say.
Awesome.
Oh, that sucks.
It didn't matter. Everybody laughed. I don't remember what it's about though.
It's about like Elvis going off to the military. It's a play on that.
Okay.
Literally, it was a play. It was a musical about the fervor around Elvis going off to the military.
Is Elvis a character in this?
No, it's Dick Van Dyke actually playing Elvis, an Elvis type character. And actually, Elvis was recruited to be in this movie, but he declined. Or Colonel Parker declined him because he didn't want to get him too close to a parody of himself. So Dick Van Dyke
we see
played
how that played out.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Because Elvis never became a parody. of himself.
No.
Dick Van Dyke, Janet Leigh, Ann Margaret, Maureen Stapleton, Paul Lind, Ed Sullivan plays Ed Sullivan.
That's
Great
a
cast.
hell of a cast.
Yeah,
Great
it's a
cast.
great movie. It's a great movie. Great songs. The title track is fantastic. This is definitely worth a watch.
Bye bye birdie. Well, bye bye birdie. It's so nice to have you back where you belong.
exactly how it goes.
Then there is Captain Underpants, the first epic movie.
I've heard that's good.
I watched this over the summer. I liked it okay.
Yeah, okay. So maybe it's just the relative to the other kids' entertainment that I see. I loved this movie.
Yeah.
I loved the movie itself. They've come out with a TV show that I think is hilarious and subversive and stuff like that. It strikes a perfect balance. So this is Kevin Hart and Thomas Middleditch in the movie. And Kevin Hart is not over the top like a typical Kevin Hart animated character.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's hyped up and everything, but just like what an 8-year-old would be.
Mm-hmm.
They're super creative. They do comics. They have their fort and everything. They're playing pranks on the principal and stuff like that. They're turning him into a superhero. It's absurd. It's silly, and it's glorious. It was my favorite kids movie I think I saw last year.
And Ed Helms plays Captain Underpants.
Yeah.
And,
Tra-la-la!
and Nick Kroll plays Captain Poopy Pants.
Oh, he's hilarious.
Is he the villain? I guess he'd have to be.
Yes.
This was 2017?
It was yes last year.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I watched it. It was all right. It was good.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Is it set in Ohio? Is it like a Cleveland, Cincinnati? Somewhere
Yeah, they've got
Toledo?
like a suburban Ohio place. And if you have kids, this is a perfect movie to take your kids or to watch with your kids because you'll probably be entertained and they will too.
Yeah. Then we have I'm interested to see if we have diverging opinions on this one. Draft Day.
I love it.
Yeah, I hate it.
I am right in the middle.
Yeah.
I am literally
I don't
because
think
I
it's-
can watch it totally, but I don't believe
Now
any
I don't
of
think
it.
any of the I don't think any of the Jennifer Garner stuff works.
Right.
Yeah.
Honestly, the only shit that works is Kevin Costner making trades and fighting with the ref.
Right.
That's it. The rest of his mom, that shit doesn't work.
Yeah.
But I still like it. I don't know why.
I've gotta think I may have to watch this movie. You have to watch this movie without any sort of critical eye whatsoever because
Of the actual drafting?
of the drafting. Yeah. Like, so, spoiler alert, everything ends up okay in the end. And how it gets to that point, they're like, at the end of the movie, they're like, wow, what a genius this guy is and all that. But it takes so many fucking things to go wrong.
It does.
For it to go right.
It does.
And like by the end of it, I found it so ludicrous that I couldn't sign off on this movie. Cause he makes like, is it 3 trades?
Oh, God.
1, 2, and 3?
He starts the day by trading away the number 1 pick.
Right.
Yes.
And by the time the day's over, he's gotten everybody he ever wanted to draft and then a couple more people.
Yeah.
Like the best kicker in the league that's a free agent. They get the running back that the coach wanted.
Yes.
Chadwick Boseman
Right.
gets drafted. And they keep the quarterback that they wanted.
And they get the draft picks back.
Yeah.
Because
he holds that guy over the fire.
Yeah.
Because that guy wants the quarterback and the quarterback keeps falling and it's ludicrous.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah, like if this were like the real NFL, it would have it would be typical Browns.
Yes.
Bullshit.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. The fact that it's the Browns as the centerpiece of this movie is the most ludicrous
Ivan
part.
Yeah.
Reitman made that movie.
Oh, I
really?
don't remember.
I didn't
I didn't
realize
know that.
It's
I was
really
looking
well
it up,
done.
thinking it might have been Ron Shelton, since he makes so many sports movies with Costner. But it was Ivan Reitman directed it. It's not good, but I really enjoy it.
I do too. I enjoy watching it. Anytime it's on, and I'll catch some of it. Like it's almost like a snapshot of Moneyball. Like a lot of phone calls are made.
It wants
and shit
to
like
be
that.
Moneyball.
Yeah, it's a dumb
the
person. Not that we're
Hallmark
dumb,
movie version of
Yes,
Moneyball,
yes.
and that's why I like it.
Exactly.
Yeah. It works, I guess, on a sort of like this sort of surreal level where like everybody's stupid and like you see the politics of everything that happens, and if you watch the movie based on some of this is based in some sort of reality, even though this would never happen in real life. It works that way.
Yeah, I mean they have to embellish, I guess, to make this interesting. It is literally about one.
I kind of wish it was a little smarter than that, though. A little bit. I mean, come on. But yeah, I've heard. This is one of those movies I've heard lots of people say they like. Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people say they don't like. So it's one of those type of movies. Then we have Eurotrip, which was, of course, it is mostly Europe, but this is one of my all-time guilty pleasure comedies.
Yeah, me too.
It is absolutely just one of the fucking stupidest movies you'll see. But there's so many things in it that just strike you funny, like the way anytime this guy gets a new mail message, he's got this thing that goes, "Mail, motherfucker." So and so he's like, so the guy is like, a sight unseen, he's having this like dialogue with this girl from Europe, and just like all of these movies, like Sex Drive and all that,
Road Trip.
Yeah, there's the potential that girl is misrepresenting herself. But he breaks up with his girlfriend, and of course the girlfriend breaking up scene is all Matt Damon.
Fucking
legendary cameo appearance. Started that long run of cameo appearances, but he was shooting Ocean's 12 around the same area that they were shooting Eurotrip, and he decided to come in and play this lead singer of a band at a party. And he sings this song called Scotty Didn't Know, because he's been fucking his girlfriend the whole time.
Not only I love this part so much. If you go to YouTube and just this is the whole movie right here. So not only is he humiliated by his girlfriend breaking up with him on graduation,
yes,
she tells him, "I've been cheating on you." Another humiliation.
Yes.
Then the fucking dude gets up there that she's cheating on. It's Matt Damon, who's all like tatted up and fucking like piercings all through him. Yeah. And he sings a song about him.
Yeah, exactly.
And his girlfriend gets up on the stage and starts making out with Matt fucking Damon.
Yeah.
The humiliation like keeps building. It's glorious.
Yeah. And Kristen Kruk or whatever, that was the girlfriend. She was on Smallville. I don't know what ever happened to her.
I don't know, man. Like nobody besides Michelle Trachtenberg in this movie was recognizable.
There's a dude that's in this. He plays like the goofy asshole guy. I saw him in something recently, and I didn't recognize him.
Was it Jacob Pitts?
Yeah, Jacob
Pitts.
Jacob Pitts is in. He's in The Center. He's JD. Yeah, so the whole point of going on this Euro trip is to go find this girl that he's been corresponding with. They've just been friends up until now, but then now that he's broken up, he can go pursue her and everything, and they have this wild, crazy-ass Euro trip. And there's like a scene on a train with Fred Armisen that's really ridiculous. There's and it turns out that girl is real and she's hot.
Yes.
But doesn't he end up with Michelle Trachtenberg anyway?
No.
Oh.
That's his sister, isn't it?
No, that's Jacob Pitts. No, not that's another dude's.
It's another dude's sister.
Another dude's sister. And there's a scene,
he tackles her in the nude beach.
There's a scene in there's a scene in a bar where they're drinking absinthe or whatever, and like and the dude thinks he's making out with some like hot chick or whatever, and it is a hot chick. It's Michelle Trachtenberg, but it's like, by the way, You were making out with your sister, man.
This movie is funny, man.
Yeah,
I'll watch it
it
anytime it's on.
Yeah. I really have a soft place for Eurotrip. It's a funny movie. Then we have The Faculty.
Yeah, baby.
This has a long list of like people in it. Like,
Oh my God.
Everybody is in
Isn't this Robert Rodriguez?
Yes, it is.
Didn't we rip on Robert Rodriguez the other day and I never brought this movie
We
up once?
did.
This is his best movie.
it could be.
It's not better than From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, it is.
No, come on.
This movie's fun. Jon Stewart steals it.
Yeah, he
Steals it.
is funny.
Yeah, we have Jordana Brewster, we have Clea Duvall, we have Josh Hartnett, Sean Hattasey, Salma Hayek, Famke Janssen,
Usher Raymond.
Usher Raymond.
Christopher McDonald's in it, B.B. Newworth, Robert Patrick, Elijah Wood, John Abrahams, Summer Phoenix. There's a ton of people in this, but yeah. I don't think it was a big hit though, but I think there were a lot of people who in that era watching movies have put that on a pedestal of some sort.
Yeah, I kind of did. Maybe I'm alone. I know Josh and I both really dug it, my buddy Josh, when it came out, and it kind of got filed for us where everybody else has kind of filed like Scream.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, it's Kevin Williamson, too.
In terms of like, I find it super watchable.
Mm-hmm.
I think the premise is goofy, but embraced in just the right tone.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cartoon it's live action, but it's a cartoon of a movie.
Oh, yeah.
With just the right slow-mo rock music moments, man, I would go to bat for this movie.
I love it. I think it's hilarious.
It was released on Christmas Day, 1998.
Well,
And,
that was a marketing decision I bet they wish they could have back.
Yeah, I don't understand that. It made $40 million, but it didn't look like it had a worldwide release at all.
Really?
Yeah, just a domestic tally
think that
on
would've
Box Office Mojo.
Done all right.
But it's kind of like a Body Snatchers type of movie.
Yeah,
where like your teacher could be an alien, or and then of course there's the big huge like finale where there's a giant alien that they have to fight.
Yes, and she's in the locker room. She's naked. She's a naked human. Then she becomes an alien.
Yeah.
Then she's a naked alien.
Yeah.
She talks. She's that blonde with that southern accent.
They were big on that in the 90s, man. Naked alien chicks,
I'm telling you, Species.
Yeah,
Species spawned like. Did you know there's like 4 or 5 of those fucking things?
I did not know there were that many. No,
They made 2 with the main stars. Then they made a 3rd one with somebody else. But the other day I was flipping by and there was some like Species the New Batch or some shit on.
Species Evolution.
I'm gonna look it up. But
Yeah.
there's like extra species.
Like there's a Species Apocalypse probably. Species Days of Future Past.
Where they go back and they meet their old species.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got Species in 95, Species 2 in 98, Species The Awakening in 2007, Species 3 before that in 2004. So there's been 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then a movie called Subspecies that I don't think is connected.
And Natasha Henstridge was in, or Hentridge or whatever
Was
it is.
in the first
Man,
two.
Ben fucking
first 2,
Kingsley
right?
was in the first one.
Yeah.
That's right.
As was
And Forrest Whitaker was in there, and you had
the chick from CSI.
Marg Helgenberger
Marg Hellenberg.
Oh,
that
yeah.
one. Otto Octavius.
and Michael Madsen,
Otto Octavius.
Octavia Spencer.
Alfred
Molina. Yeah.
Wow.
Forrest Whitaker, you already said him.
Yeah, Forrest Whitaker. I said Octavia Spencer,
I mean-
thinking that you were
Oh.
you were saying that's who you're saying. And I was like, I don't remember her, but sure.
I think the first Species is pretty watchable.
Oh yeah, it is.
Definitely that, but also watchable.
No, it is. It is. It's one of those type of movies, and man, Forrest Whitaker says some of the most useless shit in this movie, man. There's a point where they go into this like crime scene where there's just like blood and just murder goo everywhere. and like he comes in, he's like an empath or something. And he goes, he's like something bad happening. and Michael Madsen goes, yeah, no shit. And it's one of those that I almost wish he didn't say that. They just left it as something really profound.
Oh my God.
Then we have Fahrenheit 451. I've read the book. I've seen the Francois Truffaut movie. I haven't seen any of the other ones though.
Which one is this? Are they all Ohio?
The 2018 one. The
Michael
one that
B.
just came
Jordan,
out.
Michael
Yes.
Shannon one. Yeah, it's totally skippable.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Neither one
Such
of them.
good material, man.
Neither one of them. Look, I think they are two of the best actors working.
Mhm.
I love this book. I was fucking geeked, but they just went in a very boring direction.
How do you make this boring?
It's a hard book to make into a movie, though.
Yeah, that may be the case. Neither one of them even gives a performance that I'm like, yeah, he really chewed it up. It's just brooding and monotone, and I don't recommend.
How was the Truffaut version?
I remember liking it. I saw it maybe 8 to 10 years ago. But I remember liking it quite a bit. I played a video game on the Commodore 64 based on Fahrenheit 451.
Wow.
How does that work?
It was a graphic text game. So it was like Zork, but had graphics. And so, you're doing your normal go north, go east, go, all that type of thing. And your objective in this whole thing was you had to make sure that you changed your identity, and you had to talk to some people who were in the underground who are with you, who don't want to burn books and stuff like that. And you had to do all that. And then by the end of it, you're supposed to meet your girlfriend Clarice, and you're supposed to and I got as far as that. I got
your Clarice, baby.
Well, there's a point where you're supposed to ask just the right questions in just the right order. If you don't, then the Fahrenheit 451 guys come in and crash down the door. And the last time I played it, that's what happened. And then it's one of those that, you had to go through a whole bunch of fucking shit to get back to that one spot. It didn't matter where you had saved it, because it would take you all the way back outside of where you met her and somewhere else. And there was already a million other steps. So it was one of those, I'll get to that when I get to it and whatever. But Fahrenheit 451, good book. I don't know if a truly successful movie has been made of it, but I did like the Francois Truffaut version. All right. Then we have Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, it's in alphanumeric, this comes first, but the whole Nightmare on Elm Street is set in Ohio.
Okay. So Nightmare on Elm Street, we'll start with that.
Yeah.
I've seen the first one, and I have seen the new Nightmare. I haven't seen any of the ones in between.
You haven't seen, did you see the remake?
And I saw the remake.
Okay.
And I saw this. But I did not see 2, 3, 4, 5, Freddy's Dead.
All right.
I didn't see any of those.
Which one has Johnny Depp?
The first one.
That's the only one I've ever seen.
I mean, it's hard to watch these now, I guess. I mean, I kind of enjoyed, when we did Friday the 13th Part 2, I kind of enjoyed watching that again.
Yeah.
It was, you understood what it was instead of I'm going to be really scared and that kind of thing. I've seen Nightmare on Elm Street 1 fairly recently, and that was watchable. I've seen the second and the third one in my lifetime. I don't remember much about it. I know the third one, I think, is Dream Warriors, and that's the Dokken soundtrack and all that stuff. And Dream Warriors was interesting because I think they were trying to turn the tables on Freddy and everything. And it's an interesting concept, but I don't think it's ever been perfectly executed.
Yeah, the first one was, I think it's got a famous sort of the producers came in and changed the ending that Wes Craven wanted to do. Wes Craven wanted it to stay, I can't remember what he wanted. He didn't want that fucking ending that was at the end of Nightmare on Elm Street, where it's we won, but we're still in the dream. He didn't want that one. But that's what the producers ended up getting. And then the new Nightmare, actually, that was the first Nightmare on Elm Street I ever saw, was New Nightmare, and it got Heather Langenkamp back and everything. I actually liked that one. It may be a shitty movie for all I know, but I saw it when it first came out.
They're all shitty movies. Now, I will tell you that the remake is the shittiest I think I've seen.
Oh, it's one of the worst movies you'll see.
It's awful. Now, I'm not going to defend Freddy vs. Jason, but I think Freddy vs. Jason is one of the most entertaining of the series.
Oh,
because it's clearly trying to have fun with it. And playing off of both Freddy and Jason and their stereotype and the silliness that goes into it. So I think that's the most self-aware. The remake was not self-aware at all.
The remake has Rooney Mara in it.
I know. It's got
Jackie Earle Haley plays Freddy
Jackie
Krueger.
Earle Haley. You'd think would be a competent replacement for Robert Englund, but
and it also
it's
has
awful.
that Thomas Dekker kid who what's that movie that we saw recently that had that Greg Araki movie. I'm bringing this up because I know Jeremy knows this kid, and I can't wait to spring it on him.
Well, Thomas Dekker was on that Terminator TV show.
He was. That's another big thing that he was on. But the one that I went on a deep dive on this guy because I was like, I've seen this guy before, and it was I'd definitely seen him on that. But he was the kid that the little guy stood in for on Seinfeld.
Oh my God!
He was the kid.
Oh my God!
And it was Kaboom that we just saw.
Kaboom!
Yes.
Your damn kid won't stop growing.
Just that movie is just awful, and God, 5.2 on IMDb. That's too high.
That's way too high. That movie is total shit.
Yeah. Freddy versus Jason, I don't remember too much about, actually. I know that they had been trying to do it forever, and it was way back when Jason Goes to Hell came out.
Mm-hmm.
They had Freddy Krueger's claws coming in and dragging him down into hell at the end of that movie. And so it was from 93 to 2010 or no, it wasn't that long.
2004.
It was 2004. They waited to come out with this, and the reason 2003. The reason why it took so long for that movie to come out, I feel like, is not only just a rights thing, but the idea that this silent killer and this wisecracking only gets you in the dreams type of killer, they're completely fucking different.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes more sense for Jason and Michael Myers to face off against each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you had to get your two main flagship horror characters in at once. It just doesn't make any sense.
No, I know, and that's why I thought Freddy versus Jason was kind of entertaining, because they found a way for Jason to get all like hopped up to get into the dream world, and Freddy's like, "Now you're in my house," and that kind of thing, and beats his fucking ass.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's kind of fun. It's not a good movie, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Got nothing to say.
Then one of Leonard Maltin's favorite movies, a Goofy movie.
Ooh, he does like that movie.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I will not besmirch it.
Oh, it's adorable.
Yeah, it's okay. I never thought Goofy was. I will not besmirch it.
Yeah,
I'm not a big Goofy fan.
It's it's a movie that is so short that it barely makes feature length. Like the laws for feature length. It's an hour and 18 minutes.
Yikes.
But I remember this coming out. I saw it. I don't remember anything about it.
Did you see it in the theater?
I did. I was working at a theater that had it.
Cool. Yeah, no, it's fun. It's like a little road trip where they start in Ohio, I guess, is where Goofy has grown up, and he's got like a high school age son.
He's got a teenager, yeah.
Yeah, and they go off and get into shenanigans, and I mean, what is it about road trip movies? For whatever reason, like I'm drawn to them, unless it's something like Tammy or something.
Yeah. I don't know. There is something fun about road trip movies.
Yes.
Then we have Guarding Tess, which is
You remember that one?
I do.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if I saw it though. It's Nicolas Cage is a Secret Service agent, and he's guarding Shirley MacLaine.
Yes, former First Lady.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember. I've seen it in the last 10 years, and it was forgettable.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because Nicolas Cage. This was like 93, I guess, or something like that. 94. So he, I guess, hadn't gotten to Nicolas Cage type of levels.
He was in I don't know. He was in a kind of he was definitely famous.
No. I'm talking about his mystique, I guess. Like he was in Honeymoon in Vegas. And all that stuff.
He didn't get that sort of that legendary cult, punchline status until like the 2000s. I don't
right.
think. Even though he had done a lot of crazy shit, Nicolas Cage crazy shit before then, it didn't become a thing, a meme or whatever until like way later.
Just go watch Vampires Kiss. He's been doing this his whole
Yes,
career.
he really
so he's
has.
definitely dialed back in this one. This is Studio Nick Cage.
Yep. Oh yeah.
He's all like buttoned up and getting annoyed by.
It's just a variation on The Odd Couple.
Yeah.
Right. two personalities that clash, and their anger at each other makes us laugh.
Yeah.
It's driving Miss Daisy with
It's Bad
the Secret
Santa
Service.
with Secret Service agents.
So, yeah, he had done a lot of these, like Amos and Andrew, and
Mm-hmm.
he did It Could Happen to You.
Oh,
and
yeah.
all that. That was kind of Nicolas Cage had some very dialed down moments there for
Mm-hmm.
a while.
It Could Happen to You. By the way, based on a true story about a dude that leaves a tip of a lottery ticket that turns out to be a winner. And they make a movie out of this, and they land on the title. With all of that to choose from,
Yeah,
they land on the title of It Could Happen to You.
yeah, yeah.
He's not just that into you.
Right.
Like, how many lottery-based pun titles did you skip over to
Yeah.
They didn't try.
marketing fail?
I know, right?
Then we have Heathers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, baby.
I love
Heathers.
my dead gay son.
Heathers has definitely got will vie for one of the best Ohio movies here. They just don't make movies like this.
Well, I don't think they can anymore.
They can't, because the idea and Heathers is not about a school shooting
Right.
or anything like that, but it has one in it, and it was such a fucking far-fetched kind of idea back in 1988. So now it's too real.
Yeah.
The stuff that happens in Heathers. But it, the era before then where we weren't worried about safety in our high schools and everything. This is just a, I mean, it's such an entertaining, like,
Oh, yeah. It's black as comedy
yes,
can get,
it
man.
is.
Have either of you seen the new show? There's a
No.
new Heather show. Had some great promos running. I think it might be on the Paramount Network.
Interesting.
The promos I saw running were a vacuum. You could hear a vacuum, and you could see a hand as though somebody had passed out on a couch, a hand draping down to the floor, and there's pills everywhere, and somebody's vacuuming up the pills, but just bashing into the hand as though they don't care about the dead person's feelings. So I think they can do dark murder in high school, but maybe not in the school.
Yeah.
And like the way they go, because there's also that movie Thoroughbreds that came out a year or two ago with Anya Taylor-Joy,
Oh, yeah.
where she and her buddy agree to both off it was almost strangers in a train light, where they agree to off somebody in their family. So I think they're still going for some of that, but they do probably have to tone it down a great deal.
Yeah, you can't do it like Heathers did it, where like Christian Slater's setting bombs in the school. and
Right.
shit
No,
like
no,
that.
no.
But the content itself is just like drop dead gorgeous. You remember when we were talking about that? Like, just, of course this is absurd, and it declares itself fairly early on when the first Heather is killed. That it's got its tongue firmly in its cheek.
Yeah, they're going around killing the cool
Yep.
kids and everything. Winona Ryder, this is back. Winona Ryder's actually playing the age appropriate for this. Like, it's hard to believe. Like, most of the time, these kids who are in high school are always like 25
Right.
or whatever. But Winona Ryder, I think, was 17 when she did this movie.
This is right around Beetlejuice, right? Like right around Beetlejuice.
Yeah. And I think Shannon Doherty's 17 in this too.
Yeah, she's great. Christian Slater's great. This is maybe Christian Slater's one of my favorite performances of his.
Yeah.
Besides Mindhunters.
It's not a list I'm inclined to spend that much time on.
Interview with the Vampire's Mind.
Cuffs, hard rain.
That was a funny thing. Bowfinger, this is a complete aside. Bowfinger was on the other day. That movie is way fucking funnier than we've ever given it credit for.
it is.
There's a part in there where like, so the whole movie is them shooting the Eddie Murphy character like unawares during this whole thing. And then so like there's a point at the end where Steve Martin and his film company or everything are getting that deal to go to Tokyo or whatever, but he's like, we started this whole new thing. Did you know that Tom Cruise didn't even know he was in that vampire movie until 2 years later?
fucking great.
And
Oh my
there's
god.
that part. Heather Graham is playing this actress who's like fucking her way into like a better role or whatever, and like she's like fucking Steve Martin for a little bit, and then like Eddie Murphy's brother is like he's like I just had intercourse with that girl right there, and Steve Martin's like he just told me that you had sex with him, and she's like, so I didn't think of it that way.
Oh my god!
Anyway, I love me some Heathers. Heathers is a great movie, and I would recommend that one highly as well.
Yes, yes.
Now, like we said, this could not play today, so it is. I guess comes with a trigger warning. Maybe. I don't know. If,
sure, yeah.
I don't know if that's possible with this type of movie, but maybe it does.
No, and again, I mean, you've got to you immerse yourself in this world fairly immediately, and you realize how absurd it's taking it, because I don't remember many comedies like this before I saw this, if that makes sense. I don't remember seeing many comedies like this before I saw this.
Well, and the guy who wrote this, his brother ended up directing Mean Girls.
Wow.
Which has some similarities as well. And then there was another movie in the 90s called Jawbreaker that came out. That
I love
this kind of
Jawbreaker.
Thing. Yeah.
Rose McGowan,
yeah. Then we have House Arrest.
This movie's terrible.
Did I ever see this? I don't know. It was in 96. It has Jamie Lee Curtis and Kevin Pollak in it.
That's right.
I never saw it.
I don't think I ever saw this.
It's one of those...
I did see this. I know I saw this. Now that I remember, yes. Okay.
It's pretty
this
terrible.
This movie is terrible, yes. Because the kids end up like locking their parents in a basement, and they go off and have their adventures and shit without the parents.
Yes, and the parents are under house arrest.
Yes, and so both sides realize what assholes they've been.
So awful.
Yeah, it really is. Then we have, I've never seen this, Howard the Duck.
What? You've never seen it?
Never seen it.
Wow.
Even I've seen this. You're not missing anything. The reason I hated Howard the Duck showing up in Guardians, like little cameos, is because this movie's so fucking terrible. Like, this movie ruined Howard the Duck for me. I don't care if he's got good comic origins, right? Because there are apparently people that enjoyed the comic. He's in the comics. Marvel acquired them. That's why they can put him in Guardians of the Galaxy. Enough people enjoyed that, right? Not one of those. I'm not one of those. The movie
were you
is
a
so
fan
bad.
Before?
No, but I was a fan of, like, the creators of the film and expected this to be entertaining. Yeah. This was not entertaining.
Wasn't George Lucas involved with this?
Lucas is involved in this?
Yeah, he's a producer.
Anyway, yeah, Leah Thompson.
There was Leah Thompson, Jeffrey Jones.
Tim Robbins is in this, too.
There was an odd time there where Lucas wasn't doing anything except putting his name on certain movies. Like he did that, and he did Radioland Murders.
Oh, I remember.
You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that had Brian Benben in it. Nice. Brian Benben.
This is pretty terrible. I mean, it's developed a cult following.
When I was a kid, I heard a lot of other kids my age talk about this movie, but I was never
positively.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, I think kids back in the day were liking this.
Well, it's absurd. I mean, he's an anthropomorphic duck that is kind of profane and kicks ass and uses martial arts and shit.
Of course he does. But yeah, and I didn't even know that was supposed to be Howard the Duck at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy. Because I've seen frames. I mean, I'd seen frames of Howard the Duck before, and that was not anything like that one that was in the movie. So at the end, I was like, "Who the fuck is that?"
Yeah.
So you know what? Maybe for posterity, I'll have to watch that movie, even though it's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's been since around that time that it came out that I've seen.
I mean, it's one of the most notoriously bad movies for a reason.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right.
Yeah.
Then we have In Too Deep. Another, you know what? LL Cool J was in two movies in '99. One was called In Too Deep, and another one was called Deep Blue Sea. So he was very deep back in 1999.
Deepest, bluest.
My
hat is like a shark fin.
I saw In Too Deep.
Yeah.
I don't remember too much about it, actually. I think that I remember a sex scene and like some people like crashing into this guy's apartment, and the guy was like, "Hey man, what are you doing? I'm trying to get my eat on in here."
Oh, my eat on.
But Omar Epps is in this. Nia Long, Stanley Tucci,
the Tooch.
But yeah, it's one of those undercover movies where someone's in too deep.
Yes.
You know how that goes.
Just like Sum 41.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Genesis. Then we have Little Giants.
Yeah, you remember this one?
Yeah, Pee Wee football team, or
Yeah,
is it
Rick Moranis and
Ed O'Neill.
Yeah, I don't know if I actually saw this movie though.
Married with Pee Wee football players.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
They're brothers, I think.
Or
And
Honey, I Shrunk the Football Team.
Yeah.
because they're little
You
giants.
choose.
They
That's
used to be
right.
giant.
Only thing I remember about this was that I was an usher that had to go in and clean this auditorium once. Walked into this empty auditorium and I was like, "Oh, you got to be fucking kidding me!" It was so much like trash, everything. And then I heard this little laugh, and it was a kid and his father were like in the second or third row of this dirty ass auditorium, and I was like, sorry, I usually reserve that for an empty auditorium, and the guy did not care one bit. So yay! I didn't get fired that day. But what did you think of Little Giants?
Oh, it's perfectly fine. I mean, even in the worst movies that Rick Moranis is in, which is like Honey, I Blew Up the Kid and all that stuff, he's engaging enough to where I'm kind of on board with it.
Mm-hmm.
And Ed O'Neill is playing off of definitely his Married with Children character, so it's fine.
No pig. There's Little Man Tate. That's I know that Jodie Foster directed. This might have been her debut.
Mm-hmm. It was.
I don't think I ever saw it though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like this movie. I think it's adorable.
Little boy good at smarts.
Yes. That's exactly what it is. Remember
By
that.
the way, you know who was in Little Giants as one of the football players?
Who?
Devin Sawa.
Oh really?
Really?
I actually thought to myself, you know what? Somebody famous had to have played one of those little football players.
For
So
sure.
I went and Googled it, and sure enough, Devin Sawa's name's right there.
There you go.
So what is Little Man Tate about?
It's literally
what he
good
said.
at smarts.
Good
Yeah.
at smarts.
Yeah, he's like this child prodigy and everything. And Jodie Foster plays his mom, I think, or his guardian. And I remember he. You had me very confused for a second. Oh my god.
That would be so wrong.
But yeah, it's not. He's just like a super genius. It's almost like Goodwill Hunting without the obstacles.
Or
without the beating.
a gender swap Gifted made 24 years before Gifted.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did you like Gifted, by the way? Did
I
you
love
see it?
Gifted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I don't know if Little Man Tate has any like custody battle stuff or like dead parent
I don't
stuff.
think so.
I saw about 30 minutes of that movie. I want to see the rest of it.
Yeah, that little girl's pretty charming.
Yeah, she is. Then we have Major League 1 and 2.
There you go, baby.
Major League is one of those. It's a classic comedy. Of course, if you're a sports aficionado, you wonder how the fuck this team wins any games.
Yeah.
It's one of those like Bad News Bears where all they have to do is get that one guy, and then they're good. But like, there's a guy in this. I saw him in Hoosiers. He plays a pitcher who must be like 50 years old. Yes. And they have like, and so they get the one guy, which is Charlie Sheen, who is a guy from is from a state penitentiary.
And he's a relief
He's
pitcher.
a relief pitcher. And because they've got him, they just go to the fucking like a wall with this team that's got Wesley Snipes, who can barely hit, but he can steal bases.
Yep.
Tom Berenger,
Willie
who's
Mays
like a
Hayes.
50-year-old catcher. Corbin Burnson, who doesn't give a fuck.
Yep.
They have Dennis Haysbert playing Serrano, who's this guy who can't hit except occasionally hits a home run. He's one of those Dave Kingman type guys.
Is he didn't he? He wants to sacrifice a chicken so
Yeah.
they can bring in a bunch of fried chicken.
Yeah, they bring in like a KFC or whatever. And then like
Hats for
all
bats.
the other characters are sort of just like yada yada. Like, yeah, they kind of help. It's like The Natural. The Natural does that too.
Yeah, yeah.
And Roy Hobbs comes in. He's awesome. But the rest of the team around him sucks.
No, it's crazy how bad this team is. And this is, of course, Bob Uecker. And Bob Uecker, okay, so he was always an announcer, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
this-
he was a player first, and then he became an announcer.
Yeah. But he never got into like Hollywood stuff besides this kind of role.
Yeah, other
right?
than the those beer commercials where it's like looks like I'm going to be sitting in the front row was his
Right.
big thing. he is a Brewers announcer.
Yeah.
But they hired him to be, in this, the Indians announcer. And they even, when the Indians went to the World Series against the Cubs a few years ago, they asked him if he would do, and he said he declined.
Yeah. It's so great, though. He's
but
got
Bob
the iconic
Uecker
yard.
essentially steals this movie.
Oh, yeah, man.
I mean,
because he doesn't give a fuck. He's like pouring whiskey up
Yeah.
there. And
He's
you
like-
know this happens
Yeah.
all the fucking time.
Absolutely. He says, it looks like we got, what is it, one hit? That's all we got was one goddamn hit. And then his like color guy's like, you can't say goddamn on the air. Who cares? Nobody's listening anyway.
Exactly. It's so iconic that even my kid knows just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
Yeah. But yeah, this is one of those where the team is going to get moved if they don't win the pennant, just like The Natural was 4 years ago. They're going to get moved. There's a horrible, evil owner who is hey, it was progressive though. It was a female owner.
That's right.
But she was
Just
very
like any
evil.
given Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. She's very, very evil though, and she's trying to ensure that the team loses enough that they can move them or whatever. But it's one of those producers things, right? Where like we got the wrong pitcher, we got the wrong hitters. Where did we go right? Mm-hmm. Type of things, and it's funny. It's a really funny comedy.
Yeah.
Major League 2 is not very good. I don't remember.
Doesn't Wesley
saw it
Snipes
once.
get replaced by somebody else?
It might be Omar Epps.
I think it's Omar Epps.
I think it's Omar Epps.
That's funny that you referenced him earlier.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was like a big. I never even saw these movies. To this day, I've never seen them. But growing up, I wasn't allowed to watch them.
It's Omar
But I
Epps.
remember the second one coming out, and I'm like, "That's not Wesley Snipes. You fucking pulled a switcheroo."
This was one of those where in the ad for Major League, they had this great line where it was like they're at a bar, and I think Behringer tells Charlie Sheen that ball wouldn't have been out in a lot of parks. And Charlie Sheen's like, name one. And he's like, Yellowstone. And it wasn't in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And then in Major League 2, they made up for it. And Rene Russo says it.
Wow.
Oh, they put it back in.
Yeah. I can't even remember what 2 was supposed to be about. I can't even remember because it's the same thing. They're shitty again.
Yep.
And I'm sure they had the same groundskeeper saying they're shitty again and all that in it and everything. But they're shitty again. And then, of course, something happens where they end up winning again.
Yeah.
And then Major League 3 is back to the minors.
Oh, have you seen that?
I have.
Have you really?
Yeah.
In that one, they replaced Omar Epps with a white guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's probably Steve Zaw.
You just picked the whitest person on
I
the
did.
planet. You did.
I did. I remember Major League 3 having Scott Bakula as the coach.
Oh wow.
There you go.
But yeah, it was. Yeah, that was a
God,
shitty-
who
Poor
was the
Scott
coach
Bakula.
in Major League?
James Gammon.
Oh my God, that guy personified gruff.
Someone get that guy a uniform. And it's like there's a point where Corbin Burnson comes up to him and says, "It says here that I don't have to do any unnecessary calisthenics at all while I'm a member of this team." And James Gammon like throws the contract on the ground and starts pissing on it.
It's
But-
great. It's a fun movie. to
Yeah,
watch,
Major
for
League
sure.
good. Then The Man Who Came to Dinner.
Yeah, remember this one?
I don't.
It's an old film.
I guess we're
I
not-
remember this.
Guess we're not guessing anymore who's coming to dinner. It's a man this
It's a
time.
man.
Man
Came
who
to
fell to dinner?
Yeah,
No, I actually
yes.
this was a play actually in my high school that
Oh, really?
that I wasn't in,
I've
but I was
never heard of this.
working on. And 1942.
It's Satan,
Um,
isn't it?
Yes,
Satan's the man.
No,
who
it's
came
a
to
dude
dinner.
that it's a dude that like is essentially a con man. Like he slips outside of some fancy house and everything, and he fakes injuries to where they take care of him. They take him in and stuff like that, and then he starts manipulating stuff and everything. He does something. Betty Davis is in the movie, which I've only seen once, and somehow manipulates her into falling in love with another dude and everything. And he's having a blast the whole time, and they eventually find out his ruse and everything. It's delightful. It's delightful as a play, which is where I first saw it, and then it's delightful as a movie.
The Betty Davis, I hear she had eyes.
Yeah,
She did.
She did.
She doesn't anymore.
That's true.
By the way, in this one, Betty Davis.
as was the style of the time, 1942. They had to do it like, real. They had to still be able to like, skirt the code in a way.
Thank God we don't film any of this shit.
They put watermelons in front of it.
Like Austin Powers.
Yeah. That shit flew back in 1942, let me tell you. Then there's Milk Money. I think I saw this shit.
Yeah. This is Ed O'Neill again, I think.
Oh.
And
well, it
Melanie
has
Griffith.
Ed Harris in it.
Oh, was it Ed Harris?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
and Melanie Griffith.
She's a hooker.
Ed O'Harris.
Yeah, she is a hooker.
Ed O'Harris.
Yes. But it's like kids find a prostitute who, of course, Melanie Griffith is playing.
Mm-hmm.
And they befriend her or something.
I think they start telling people she's their mom, maybe?
No,
I
because
don't
they
know.
get into trouble. They go out because I think they can pay her to show them her boobs. And they get caught and they say, no, she's our tutor or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And
I
then
saw it
she
once.
befriends, or she and Ed Harris get
I remember thinking it was okay.
to Bumpin' Uglies.
Oh.
I mean, eventually. I don't think they show them Bumpin' Uglies, but those are my uglies.
Yeah. But that's another one of those movies. I was definitely working in a movie theater that had this movie, and I saw it. I couldn't tell you anything
Had a
about
very arresting poster, and it was one of those that you'd see at Blockbuster, like a cover all the time. You remember this cover? It's like pure white. It's got her on the left, and then them like hanging down, like looking at her.
it. Yeah.
She's pretty.
Yeah, she is pretty. Then we have Rain Man.
Rain Man.
So yeah, this is where Raymond is when Tom Cruise comes to get him and everything, and then this is another road movie essentially.
It is. You know what's weird is that I forget how this movie starts until I actually looked it up recently. Like, so their parents die, right? And then Tom Cruise comes out from wherever he is, West Coast or something like that.
Yeah.
And to get their assets, like they've got collectible cars or something like that, and he's like, oh, fantastic, I'm going to get all the rich shit. But they bequeathed it to Raymond.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason that he's got to get him back and sign all these papers and everything. So, like, not only is he an asshole, I remember him being an asshole.
Yes, he is.
But he's got, like, the assholiest motivation ever. Like, he's literally taking advantage of this dude.
He comes around by
Entirely.
the end.
Well, of course, yeah.
Otherwise, it
But
wouldn't be
that's-
a feel-good move.
That's the subject
Because
of
Raymond knows how to do blackjack and count
yeah,
cards.
absolutely. That was that thing in was the book Hit and Run, where they were talking about how it was either Peter Goober or one of those the Goober Peters guys who ran Sony wanted to have Raymond get into the Dodgers game and pitch the ninth inning.
That's right.
They wanted to have him do that.
God.
Because there was a meeting with, this is when like Spielberg was attached to it and all sorts of stuff. They went to this guy's house and they said, I got an idea for the end of this movie. Raymond goes into the Dodgers game and he pitches the ninth inning and they win the game.
Jesus Christ.
But Rain Man's good, and it's one of those. Dustin Hoffman gets a lot of the credit for that movie because he's so good in it.
Did he win?
He did. He won the Oscar
okay.
for this. But Tom Cruise, who wasn't nominated, I think over the years people have started giving him a lot more credit for his performance in this, because it's hard to kind of play that to let the other guy basically just steal the movie from you, especially at the time. This was Tom Cruise at his height.
Yep.
And but he lets Dustin Hoffman sort of just run with this movie and everything, and he's very good playing sort of straight man or whatever to that whole thing. And yeah, it's a good movie. I remember not liking it when I first saw it, but I was too young, I think, to watch it.
I was too when I first saw this.
And then later on, it's really good.
Yeah, it is.
And Valeria Galino was in this.
She's not hard to look at.
She's not. Then we have Ready Player One.
Oh.
Probably the most famous of Ohio movies in the last 5 years or so.
It's so weird that they set that in Columbus. I don't know if Ernest Cline has some sort of connection to Columbus.
I don't know.
Yeah, boy, we've talked about this movie before, but I really liked the book. Didn't like the movie at all.
Yeah, some of the worst parts of the book end up being exacerbated in the movie.
Yeah, it's exactly the wrong way.
Yeah, I know a lot of people don't have a problem with a primary villain like Ben Mendelsohn is in this movie. I feel like I've said this before. I think that the whole excitement of a movie like Ready Player One is the conflict is they have to find the shit and try to beat each other at finding all the shit. And when you put in a primary villain who's out to do this stuff and cheat and all this other thing, it really robs the fun out of it. Now, yes, it is a story. It is something that you can do story-wise. That's a decision you can make, and it makes total sense, but I don't like it. I hate the fact that there is a primary villain in this.
I agree. And poor Ben Mendelsohn, well, I mean, not poor. He's obviously making
he's doing very well, yes.
Playing the same character over and over again, but I mean, he's got to have some sort of dramatic role to break out of this. Sub-question, is this the worst Steven Spielberg movie?
Oh, probably not.
What is the worst Steven Spielberg movie?
Horse.
Oh, yeah. War Horse is up there.
Horse.
Horses.
Amistad.
It's, I think Amistad is better than this.
I wouldn't put an Amistad there. I would definitely probably put. Now, I haven't seen Always and Forever, but I know that you guys like that movie.
Always?
Yeah.
Is Always and
No,
Always.
he hasn't seen it in forever.
Oh, in Forever. I'm sorry. I thought you were saying Always and Forever.
No, I haven't.
Always Forever.
I haven't seen Always and Forever, but you guys loved it, so maybe it's not as low as I think it would. 1941 would get into that conversation.
Man, I only saw that one once too. Is that really awful?
Terminal?
Yeah, I mean it's not.
I think I would put The Terminal above Ready Player One.
I haven't seen Ready Player One, so I really shouldn't even be in this conversation. But Horse is worse than that.
Yeah, I would definitely put War Horse and 1941 in that underneath Ready Player One.
But this is down there.
It's down there.
Yeah.
It's a movie that's so crazily made.
Didn't he make Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
He did.
Oh,
that would definitely be there.
Yeah, that's my least favorite that I've seen. I guess.
That would definitely be below that.
Yeah.
But Ready Player One doesn't even play like a Spielberg movie.
No, it doesn't. I mean, there's technical.
It's like he's not even in
see.
control of this movie.
Yeah.
It's weird too because I remember because he does this prolific stuff where he makes like 2 movies or 3 movies in this short period of time. I remember when the first trailers for Ready Player One were coming out, and I was like, okay, that's his next movie, and it's coming out in March for some reason. That's weird. But then like the talk about The Post was coming out, and I was like, oh, that must be like next year. Like, no, that's coming out in December.
Yeah.
So I was like, did he even have time to do Ready Player One?
Well, yeah, and you can make an argument that neither were up to the standard that he's normally at.
Yeah.
This one much more so than The Post.
Yeah, that's one that I like. They did a lot of creative liberties with the book too, and the creative liberties make a lot of things not make sense. Like. That is a fun thing. If I read more books, I'd love to do a whole podcast about how little changes from the original material change the motivations and reasons why things happen in the movie. That was one thing about Avengers Infinity War, was that none of that half the death shit makes any sense because Thanos in the comic books was just trying to impress death.
Right.
And there's nothing like that in the movie. So to take out impressing death and then just do it anyway, his motivations don't make any sense anymore.
Right.
So like a lot of times people forget about these little things, and like in that Ready Player One, man, there's so many of those fucking things.
Yeah.
Where
There's no obsessiveness. It's just surface level bullshit.
And no obsessiveness, and everything is just solved with no thinking whatsoever, really. And stuff that's in there that's solved, and you don't know how it got, you don't know how they got to that point, and yeah, it just takes you out completely.
Yeah.
Then there is The Rocker. This is the Rainn Wilson drummer movie where he's a naked drummer and he gets on YouTube.
Yeah.
And the band becomes a big thing because of that and everything. And there's a scene with Jason Sudeikis coming up to their house and saying, "Boot, boot." That's the sound of that truck backing up with all the money it's going to give you after this video, pal.
You like this movie, right?
I do. I watched it last year on a lark. And really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's like John Hamm's in this too, right? Like all of his ex-bandmates are famous people.
Yeah. There's a I think Bradley Cooper. Maybe.
Bradley Cooper's definitely one of them. Yeah,
and Fred Armisen.
Fred Armisen. I think it's funny. I think it also got overshadowed by Walk Hard, not because they're the same kind of movie, but because they're the same kind of movie.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, this is a little more based in reality, though.
A little more,
yeah.
but still pretty over the top because that band shows up at the very end.
Yeah.
And
Will Arnett's in there too.
Will Arnett.
God,
there's
how
like
do
squeeze
million
John Hamm in
people
there.
But they're all speaking like in this British accent and everything. And they start arguing. It's like, we did that before we became British. But yeah, you had Josh Gad in here and Emma Stone and Christina Applegate. It's one of those movies. It's not a complete success, but man, it's enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, I agree.
Then we have Scream 2.
Yeah.
The college is in Ohio,
The college is in Ohio.
Okay.
So I guess most of these Scream movies are set in California.
I guess. Didn't you go to Oregon in one of them?
I don't know. I didn't.
Maybe I'm thinking about Twilight.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Did you see that tweet from Anna Kendrick, by the way?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Holy
I just
shit,
remembered I
I was in Twilight.
She's the best Twitterer. Hands
she's
down.
fucking phenomenal.
Scream 2 is not nearly as bad as Scream 3, but not nearly as good as Scream 1.
Yeah, Scream 2 is in full sequel mode, and they know they're a sequel. That's the thing. That's the big knowing thing of the dialogue.
You know who's in the beginning of this movie?
Omar Epps. Omar Epps, man, making a lot of Ohio appearances here.
Right.
I'm wondering if he's from Ohio now.
Yeah, maybe
because
so.
he's been in a lot of these movies. But yeah, the once you get to Scream 3 and the end of Scream 3 and all the bullshit that they lay out in the end of Scream 3, you're like, none of the Scream 2 shit makes any sense now.
Nope.
None of that makes any sense. They kind of gloss over it, in fact, in Scream
I
3.
do think the movie version putting Heather Graham in the Drew Barrymore role is pretty inspired.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't hold up to the first. I think it's watchable. I think it's fun watchable. And the third one, there's almost nothing redeemable about that at all.
Yeah.
But at least here, Timothy Olyphant gets to choose some screen time. I can't think of many other good things to say, but I enjoy it.
Jane Lynch?
There's a little collective soul in the soundtrack.
Yeah, that's
Not
right.
that should move you one way or the other.
It's not Jane Lynch.
Oh, who was Billy's mom?
It's Laurie Metcalf.
Laurie Metcalf. Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, it's good. There's some fun performances in it, and the parody of the original Scream all throughout when they show Luke Wilson playing
Billy.
playing Billy, and they have Tori Spelling actually because she joked about that in the first one that she was going to get Tori Spelling. But and there's some fun touches in it, and it's well shot and it's well made, but it just I didn't like it as much. Small Soldiers.
Yeah.
This
good
movie
shit.
probably could get into a discussion about best Ohio movies.
So it's been since it came out that I've seen it, and this was 94-ish or something like that.
This was more like 96, 97. No, 98 might be right.
Kirsten Dunst is still pretty young in this. It's before Bring It On, and that was what, 2000?
Yeah.
It's 98. Yeah, it's but this is Joe Dante. I saw this when it came out. I remember enjoying it, but not really remembering anything about it. Why does this have such a cult following?
Because it has the magic of the Gremlins crossed with a Toy Story type situation, where you've got sentient toys, but this line of toys is quote unquote programmed. There's basically this wacky computer chip that gets out of place. They hate each other. And so as sentient toys who don't quite realize they're toys, they're trying to go to war with each other. And then there's these kids in the middle of it. I actually tweeted, you may have seen it. I can't believe I live in a world where we're going to get a fourth Toy Story movie and we still haven't had a second Small Soldiers, because I liked it when it came out, and I've seen it 2 or 3 times since, and I've liked it every other time. I think it's super charming.
And it's got, it's got the sort of a hidden message about war too in it all the way through it. But
good voices.
Tommy Lee Jones plays Chip Hazard.
Yeah.
But there's it's a really fun movie. I think at the beginning of it, so it's a toy company that's trying to make these like super awesome toys for Christmas or something like that. And it's Jay Moore and David Cross, I think, are the ones who are making the toys at the beginning. And they put in some like super chip that they haven't really tested. Typical comic book type stuff where they haven't really tested something, but let's go with it anyway. And then they accidentally get shipped out or whatever without any testing or anything. I can't remember what the whole reason for them getting out was, but then once they become active, they're like actual soldiers. They really want to like actually kill things and stuff. So there's like a good side and a bad side that's in there.
Yep, and there's a great little Barbie section in there.
I need to watch this again.
I think you do. I think I think if you took the concept of Toy Story and Gremlins and mashed them together, you'd get this.
That's badass.
And
that sounds like a perfect movie to
Oh, it's fun. It's so fun. 6.1 on the IMDb. I'm going to tell you something, IMDb. If fucking Nightmare on Elm Street is a 5.5, this movie's a 9.0.
Yeah, no shit.
Then we have Stranger Than Paradise.
Yeah.
Well,
This is Jim Jarmusch's one of his first films.
so you've said enough.
You will not get on board with Jim Jarmusch.
I will not.
Will you?
I will not.
Why? Too slow?
Because I don't think Fringe is great just because it's fringe and weird.
It's not fringe and weird. It's just is. Like, he takes his time to tell a story. He lets the beats settle. He lets his actors act.
What's the best Jarmusch movie?
I would say Broken Flowers is my favorite. Dead Man is up there.
See, Dead Man, I really didn't like.
No, I understand that. It's slow and it's test your patience a little bit. I would say Down by Law is up there. I'm sure that's not really right up your alley either. I don't like Ghost Dog that much.
Is that the samurai one with Forrest Whitaker? I actually like that movie.
No, really?
Yeah.
See, I think it's to me probably his most accessible movie, even though it's weird. But for whatever reason, I didn't like it.
That's the thing.
I would say
though.
Broken Flowers is my favorite.
If a guy has a whole like filmography, but he only has like one movie that's really accessible.
Well, it's like David Lynch. I really like David Lynch, but he doesn't have a lot of accessible stuff.
I'm not a big David Lynch fan either.
Yeah,
I'm not a big other guy, Jeff, that loves the Lost Highway guy. Cronenberg.
Lynch.
Oh, that's David Lynch.
But you're thinking
Cronenberg is the
Cronenberg.
other guy.
Cronenberg, yeah.
Same thing. I'm not into it, man.
Yeah,
It's it's not very accessible.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm too vanilla.
No, I understand.
I'm okay
no,
with
I mean,
that.
Jarmusch, I understand, is not for everybody, especially his pacing. But I'm down with it for whatever reason.
Stranger.
So I've never
in
seen
Paradise?
this.
Stranger Than Paradise.
So I've never seen this. What's it about?
It's got a bunch of vignettes. It's actually probably his least accessible movie, strangely enough.
It's his first and least accessible.
Pretty much. It's like a student film, basically.
Okay.
Like it's a couple of vignettes. John Lurie is in there. A few of his regular guys that he comes back to later on. Tom Waits isn't in this one, or Iggy Pop, but I think it's in black and white. It's little comedy bits. Similar. There's not as many vignettes as Coffee and Cigarettes. Did you ever see Coffee and Cigarettes? That's another one that I would put up there too. But kind of little things. I think there's 4 that kind of loosely fit together, and it's interesting. If you are a Jarmusch completist like I am, it's worth checking out. It's definitely not his best.
Then we have Super 8. I remember when Super 8 was supposed to be, like a lot of people thought with the teaser trailer, it was going to be a Cloverfield sequel. J.J. Abrams was attached to it. Of course, he ended up directing it or whatever. But honestly, you could actually say that it is in some weird way connected.
It's as connected as the Paradox is,
Yeah.
or 10 Cloverfield Lane, really.
Right. But J.J. Abrams set out to make an old school, and then we mean 70s, 80s type of like sci-fi film with this. it succeeds in part. I'd say it's pretty good. I didn't like it completely. I wasn't totally sold.
There's something missing from this that's not quite Spielbergian, right?
I can't quite put my finger on it. I'll have to, I mean, I've when we send this, I think I did put my finger on it, but I've sort of forgotten what that was.
Well, I feel like I'll take a stab at it. I feel like it's early enough in JJ's directing career that you can tell that he's following a Spielberg recipe to a certain degree, and even it works in a lot of parts, but it's not somebody creating their own recipe from scratch, as opposed, like, I think he's clearly paying homage to Spielberg as opposed to trying to rip him off. But I think later in his filmmaking career, he's kind of come into his own a little bit more, as opposed to following a blueprint to ping on this nostalgia thing.
He's more of a showy version of Spielberg, because Spielberg, I don't think gets enough credit for creating tension. Like, he's got a lot of tension in his movies. Even War of the Worlds and stuff like that is there's some very tense moments in there. And I think they're supposed to be in Super 8, but it doesn't quite get there. You never really buy, or at least I didn't buy into, boy, this is really, the stakes are high. And
I will say Elle Fanning is great in this.
Yeah, she's good.
I think she's 12 or 13 or whatever, has acting range that's better than people 3-4 times her age in this movie.
Something in that.
You talking about
blood.
Keanu?
Yes, totally. Super 8. I like it. Okay, it's just something about. I think it was more towards like the ending and all the explanation of the ending and all that. I was like, I don't know if I really liked how that jived with everything that happened before it and everything.
I think that ensemble of kids, though, deserved as much love as the Stranger Things kids get. I think they've
worked really well together.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we have Tommy Boy.
Oh, well, Tommy Boy and Black. I always got to figure out Black Sheep and Tommy Boy.
Well, look, this movie, I think, has gotten way overpraised.
I agree.
Probably so.
Now, I love Chris Farley. I like David Spade on Saturday Night Live, but 2 hours or an hour and a half of it or whatever is just, it's too much for me. You go back and watch this now.
Oh, no.
Not nearly as funny as you remember.
It's funny, though. It's just not. It's not all that clever.
No.
It's funny in the way that people trying to tip over a cow and falling into the mud themselves is funny.
Yeah.
And if the right person is doing it, I can laugh at that. They tried to recapture whatever magic they had here in Black Sheep.
Black Sheep is
this came before
man.
Black Sheep, and I think they were really trying to go for was Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
I meant in Black Sheep they were trying to recapture this magic. But you're right, I do think they were kind of inspired by that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of similarities in this. I mean, down Chris Farley, of course, was John Candy after John Candy passed, and nobody has taken on that mantle, I don't believe, since Chris Farley passed.
Horatio Sands.
Yeah,
no, you're right.
Now he's all skinny.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Kevin James may have tried it for a little bit there, but I remember really, really enjoying this. I haven't seen it in forever, but I have seen it a lot. I've seen it a lot of times. This it's one of those. I guess it's they work at a auto parts manufacturer. And Tommy is a guy who like really never succeeded in college or anything. He's just going to be his dad's heir apparent to this fortune that they have, and they sell brake pads.
I think it's Rob Lowe, isn't it? That's the foil.
Yeah, Rob Lowe plays the the Bradley Whitford of Billy Madison in this.
Yeah, exactly.
And so both of them are trying to vie for the company, and Tommy is a guy who just can't get it together, but finally he figures out some of his dad's old salesman magic and everything. So it's basically a road trip movie, them going around the Midwest essentially to sell these brake pads. And David Spade and Chris Farley were a thing for a brief moment in time there.
David Spade takes a Cerbic way over the top in this movie.
Yeah.
He's eating the ketchup packets and he's like, I can hear you getting fatter.
My favorite part probably though is when they have the woman goes out to skinny dip in the pool, and David Spade is watching from the hotel room, and Tommy walks in on him masturbating, and he's like, Richard, what were you doing in here? And he goes, hey, that's a really good looking lady down there. Good for her. I wonder if she plays for the Yankees. A movie just like Tommy Boy, Traffic.
That's right.
It is just like Tommy Boy. What about this fucking movie's in Ohio? I guess this movie has so many vignettes.
No, it's got a big chunk. There's 3 chunks. One is in Mexico. One is in California, I believe.
Yeah.
And the other one is in Ohio. The whole Michael Douglas thing
stuff is in Ohio?
Yeah, he's
And
like
Erica
a senator
Christensen?
from...
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
so you have Michael Douglas, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Benicio del Toro, Topher Grace is in this thing.
A lot of Soderberghs.
Yeah.
I watched this again like 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah?
Didn't like it as much.
Oh, really?
I loved it when it first came out.
Mhm.
And I think it's just needs to be dialed back a bit in the editing. Like, I just don't feel like it's very cohesive.
I could see that. Did this win Best Picture?
Yes.
But
But
Because it was
Soderbergh-
traffic and then crash like around
Yeah,
that
but
same time.
Soderbergh did not win.
Mm.
He had Aaron Brockovich and Traffic both came out this year.
Mm.
And either he didn't get nominated or he didn't win. I think it was Traffic did not win. It was Gladiator that won.
Oh, wow.
And Soderbergh may have won for Traffic.
Jeez.
That's how that went. Because Ridley Scott did not win. So it was Gladiator won Best Picture and Soderbergh won Best Director
I see.
for Traffic.
I see.
I'm not saying it was bad on this recent watch. I'm just saying I felt like it was feeling a little long.
Haven't seen it since it came out. Then there is Unstoppable.
This movie's awesome.
This movie's great. I would have guessed Pennsylvania.
No, it starts in Pennsylvania, but the whole disaster happens in Ohio.
Honestly, I think if you don't have Denzel and Chris Pine in this,
Doesn't work.
doesn't work.
Doesn't work at all.
And because they're both so charismatic, what should be a B movie kind of becomes like an A-. Like, I think it's really, really enjoyable.
What's surprising is that, so this was after Star Trek, the reboot
Yes.
Star Trek. Even with that, like Chris Pine was really great in that. And we all liked it. But you would figure that he wouldn't stand up to Denzel acting wise. He holds his own.
He does.
He holds his own. This movie's really fun to watch.
Really enjoyed this. I haven't seen it since it came out, but I remember it being really good. It's kind of got that same concept of Speed, where the train can't slow down and all that.
Only no bomb.
It's
Yeah.
unstoppable.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, Ethan Suplee's in this movie.
Oh yeah, that's right. But
He's
yeah.
actually the guy that causes the whole fuck up
Oh yeah, that's right.
because he uncouples the train and doesn't recouple it in time.
But this was one of the very many Tony Scott, Denzel Washington collaborations.
Yeah, there
no
were
kidding,
several.
right?
Deja Vu, another watchable one.
Yeah, Deja Vu, Crimson Tide started it all. And then there was like a couple others, like Man on Fire, I think was one.
Yep.
But I think they collaborated about 5-6 times, maybe.
Some guy was on fire.
Yeah. Yes.
It's an Anchorman fight.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Fire.
I'm with you.
Then we have The Watch. I watched this movie. I've seen it.
Is this the Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn
Yep.
comedy
Yes.
that came out at the bad time and basically got buried?
Yeah, it's alien invasion, and these guys sort of form a group to like go around and like I don't know if they are actively seeking them out and trying to kill them or anything, but
Well, I mean, they're a neighborhood watch that takes it way too seriously in the first place. And I think even
Right.
they start expecting things and nobody believes them because they're so overbearing about this. Now, this did come out around the George Zimmerman,
Yeah.
Trayvon Martin thing,
Yeah.
right? Which is, it's a bad movie. This is a bad movie. It's
I
not
don't
funny,
think I ever saw
even
it.
with all the talented people in there. But that's awful timing, obviously. But it's also not really related to a story like this because there's hyper-vigilant neighborhood watch people, but it's not about that. It's about aliens.
yeah.
So.
But it's got so you had Ben Stiller, Jonah Hill, Billy Crudup. The guy who really kind of steals it is this. I don't know his last name, how to pronounce it, but Richard Ayoade. He's like he plays a really weird dude or whatever. But Yeah, the movie is garbage. I just remember watching this, just being very depressed watching.
It's like Couples Retreat. It's like, how are there this many talented, funny people in here?
Yeah, and
it's not, or Tower Heist,
right?
Like, why does this keep happening? Like, how do you make such a shitty movie with good people?
I don't know.
And then Welcome to Collinwood. I've heard of this. I don't know if I've ever seen it.
Oh my God!
This is another one of those. Family comes home for a meal or an illness?
No. This is, okay, so this is the Russo brothers directed this. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
This was 2002. Russo brothers directed it, produced by Soderbergh and Clooney, starring William H. Macy, Isaiah Washington, Sam Rockwell, Luis Guzman, Patricia Clarkson, Jennifer Esposito, George Clooney.
Christ.
It wasn't seen by anybody. It's about like a bank heist. It's about like a dude in prison that starts planning this bank heist. And I think it's mainly like a heisty type of Oceans type of thing. And you'd think with that pedigree that everyone would have seen it. It came out at like, it was released in like a few theaters, and it made $4.6 million worldwide, $378,000 in the U.S.
Holy shit.
And $12 million budget.
Well, at least I know why I never heard of it now.
I really want to watch this movie. It looks really good. It sounds really good. It's got a lot of good people behind it.
Well, what's the reviews look like?
I haven't seen the reviews.
It's a 2.6 on the IMDb.
Actually, it might be.
It could be like the Welcome to Mooseport of heist movies.
Oh,
it's
look
also
it up.
a shitty title to it.
Welcome to Mooseport.
It's
of
6.4
heist movies. Okay, well that's decent enough.
It's 55%, and audiences are about the same.
All right, so it's probably not great, but might have some moments. That cast is incredible.
I know. And the Russo brothers behind it, Russo brothers aren't perfect, but you know, they've done some good stuff.
Okay. Yeah, they made that. I mean, they made that one movie for Disney. Did all right.
Yeah, that's right. There's actually one more movie that I didn't put on there that takes place in Akron. That's Room.
Oh yeah, Room.
And it's not a fun movie to discuss, but it's a good movie.
Yes, it is. This is sort of Brie Larson's like coming out for everybody. Like
she's fucking
she
amazing.
She had been in stuff before, and she was great in it and everything. But this was her announcement and everything to the world. She's great in this. Jacob Tremblay is really good in it too. Has one of my favorite moments in the last 10 years is when kid sees the sky for the first time. Yeah. It's a depressing as fuck movie.
Yeah.
And then after the whole getting out of the room thing, it doesn't get better.
No, it's such a realistic portrayal of how a terrible situation, how you deal with a terrible situation in the aftermath.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not very easy to watch. I didn't know anything about it before I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
But me and the wife were absolutely riveted the entire time. Didn't feel great afterwards, but you realize you saw something really amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Really, really, really good movie. Then on the rundown, Anomalisa. I have talked about Anomalisa before. It's a really, really good Charlie Kaufman stop motion movie. It's set in Ohio. I think that David Thewlis's character is he's an author who goes and speaks about I can't remember. He's a self-motivational speaker kind of guy. And he's well known at it too. And one of his stops is at this hotel in I can't remember if it's Cleveland or what, but everybody who talks to him has the same voice.
That's crazy.
Until there's this one woman that he runs into that has a different voice, and it's Jennifer Jason Leigh. And he falls in love with her because she's got a different voice. And there's even a scene in there where, like, Jennifer Jason Leigh's character is with a more attractive woman, and he ends up like asking the Jennifer Jason Leigh character to come back and hang out with him and everything. And she goes, "Well, usually, people want to hang out with my best friend and everything," and they're like, it's like, nope. So it's all attraction to a different voice. There is a sex scene in here reminiscent of Team America, but not like played up for super laughs. It's actually it's played for drama, but at the same time you could Team America it up if you want to. Anomalisa is I say fantastic freaking movie.
I got to check that out.
I wholly recommend Anomalisa, and it's a movie that just kind of, it came out and it looked like it was trying to get some sort of Oscar recognition towards the end of the year when it came out, and nobody really ever saw it, and I haven't heard very many people talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I bought it on a Lark Blu-ray, watched it. I watched all the behind-the-scenes stuff. Crazy that the movie even got made. They ran out of money a couple of times.
Wow.
It's really, really good. I wholly recommend that one. Antoine Fisher, which I believe was Denzel Washington's directorial debut.
Oh,
he
wow.
did direct that. That's right. I forgot about that.
But it's about a military training class, something, whatever. Is it Derek Luke?
I saw it once and thought it was okay.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Denzel Washington directed 2002. Young Navy man is forced to see a psychiatrist after a violent outburst against a fellow crewman. So it's got that kind of that Good Will Hunting type of vibe to it as well. But it came on recently, and I watched about 30 minutes of that, and it was really good. Really liked it.
They were going to call it Good Antoine Fisher, but then Sean Parker told him to drop the good.
Drop the good.
It's cleaner.
Yeah. All Fall Down. I've never seen this. It's got Warren Beatty, Eva Marie Saint, and Carl Malden.
Yeah.
Then there's The Bronze, which was that, wasn't that the,
It's the one about the gymnast. The Duplass brothers produced it.
And it's got this, and it's
Did you
got
see
this
this?
real bizarre sex scene in it.
Yeah, where
That's the main draw for
the
it.
gymnast has like a pommel horse style sex scene. I think it's her coach.
I don't know who it
I
is.
saw it. I remember thinking, "What the fuck am I watching?" And I moved on. with my
Yeah, it's
life.
one of those things where like they're like the sexual positions they get in are impossible, and it's
Oh, that's
hilarious.
Because she was like an athlete, Olympic athlete from this town that was famous in this town, and then somebody else is taking her glory, and she's like older and being pushed to the side, and there's like a new gymnast from this town that everybody loves. And I think she kills her or like beats her up or something.
Wow.
I feel like there is a loose thread to real.
Yeah, I
history.
feel like this maybe actually. Maybe it didn't. Maybe the stuff in the movie didn't happen exactly the way it happened in real life, but I think it's based on a real person.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I'm not sure. Anyway, it's like a Olympic gymnast movie, comedy, weird sex scene.
Yeah. Everyone's going to watch it now just for that sex scene.
Dirty Pictures.
Oh boy.
I remember this coming out.
I think it was around 2000.
I didn't see it though.
It's a documentary.
It's about pornographic art display in Cincinnati.
Yeah, this guy apparently displayed really, really graphic sexual imagery, but it was in the context of a museum, and he presented it as art, and it was in Cincinnati, and they refused to show it, or the city tried to shut it down or something like that. There was a big lawsuit about it. So
shut us down.
Oh,
Yeah.
but the Bengals can play every week.
Vontez Perfect is allowed to tackle.
Then there is the not Haley Steinfeld Edge of 17.
Yeah.
What?
It came out in
There's another one.
1998.
I was all excited. I was like, well, did Edge of 17 happen in Ohio? Could have.
Could have.
But no, it's another one.
Gay coming of age movie. But I don't know of this one. I don't know who's
Yeah, I
in
hadn't
it
heard of
or
it.
anything.
Did you say 88?
98.
All right. I was going to say 88. I'm not sure 1988 could have handled a gay coming out story very
Almost
tactfully.
no. Nobody that I know is in this.
Yeah, no kidding.
Then there is The Express.
Running back.
Yeah, running back.
Ernest Spines.
Ernie Davis.
Davis.
Rob Brown plays Ernie Davis, and Dennis Quaid is in this.
Yeah, I saw this.
I didn't see this.
It's not any better or worse than any of the rest of them. If you saw We Are Marshall, you saw this movie. It's just about a real guy. Although
All right.
We Are Marshall is about real people too.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Then there's Ghost in the Machine.
Oh boy.
I remember that.
Karen Allen.
Yeah, it was. I think it's very much like your Russell Crowe Denzel Terminal Velocity, whatever that.
6.7 or whatever.
What,
Yeah.
Virtuosity?
Virtuosity. It's like there's a serial killer in the machine or something like that.
Carl Hogman is a technician in a computer store. He is also known as the address book killer due to his habit of stealing people's address books.
Yeah, Deus Ex Machina.
proceeding to murder anyone listed in the book. So he's like the dude in The Jerk.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like Emmett Walsh.
Yeah.
You stupid random person.
These paint cans.
Yeah, he hates these cans. Gummo. I never saw Gummo.
Me
That
neither.
was shot by local guy Harmony Korine.
Yep.
This followed up Kids, right? 2 or 3 movies
Yes.
after Kids.
Yeah, it's apparently about like I think it's again like little vignettes about lower middle class Midwesterners, but it was shot in Nashville, and I think I've seen like little clips of this movie, and I think I recognize there's some in West Nashville that I recognize, seedier places,
Yeah. Then there's Harper Valley PTA. Never heard of it.
based on the song.
At Home at the End of the World. That sounds like something I've seen, but of course it has all the words of things that are in other titles.
Yes, it does. Seeking a friend at home for the end of the
Yeah,
That's
right.
It's Colin Farrell and
It's A Home at the End of the World. Okay. A Home at the End of the World. Colin Farrell, Robin Wright, Sissy Spacek. I haven't seen this.
No. Hey, get less boring, Ohio movies.
right.
Oh my God. I am number 4. Have you seen this shit? This had, I believe it was Alex Pettyfer in it.
Is this
I've not
another
seen
young
it.
adult
Yes.
apocalyptic thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
And I believe this, I can't remember if this was the movie where Alex Pettyfer got this sort of like reputation as one of those young asshole actor kids.
One of those Devon Sawa's.
Yeah.
He is number 4, you know.
Sorry, Devon Sawa had the same reputation.
Yeah.
That's all I was shooting for.
Yeah. Yes, the aliens and their guardians are hiding on Earth from intergalactic bounty hunters.
It was I Am number 4, and then the sequel was The Fifth Wave.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. And then The Sixth Sense came
So
out.
this one, yes, this one has the speech about ending the Cold War, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah. But I Am number 4, yeah, is a piece of shit. That's all I remember. The Last 5 Years, it's an Anna Kendrick movie. I haven't seen it. Is it one of
You
those?
guys both look at me.
Well,
I don't blame you.
it certainly looks like the type of movie that you might have seen.
It sounds like the kind of movie I might have seen.
It looks like one of those. No, but Richard LaGravenese of is it Bridges of Madison County?
oh,
yeah.
lovely. My
director
favorite guy.
fame. Let me try to see.
So this movie's all about adultery, then, is what you're saying?
Probably. I think that's all he ever.
The
did.
last 5 years
That's
of
a romantic
adultery.
No,
comedy.
he didn't do that movie. Did he write it?
He wrote The Fisher King.
Yeah, he wrote The Fisher King.
He wrote The Bridges of Madison
He
County.
wrote the screenplay for Bridges of Madison County. But no, I don't. I've never seen The Last 5 Years. Then there is Meet the Applegates. I feel like I have seen this.
There's a lot of meet the whatever.
Right, but I remember this coming out because I was like, because even back then I was like, oh, is Christina Applegate in this movie? Like, because it came out in 1990.
Oh, this is where they get possessed by like a Brazilian alien, and then they move back to Ohio.
That's another Michael Lehman who did Heathers movie.
That sounds like the Richard Dreyfuss movie with Dharma, where he comes back from the African tribe and tries to teach his family to live
Krippendorf's Tribe?
Krippendorf's tribe.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Um,
By the way, did you remember that movie?
Yeah, I do remember that.
I think I saw that.
I saw it.
I think I saw it. I
I
don't.
think I built it.
Oh yeah. I most likely did if we got it. The Mighty.
Yeah.
I don't know what The Mighty is.
This is The Mighty. It's about like a kid that's got
Sharon Stone?
Yeah.
Oh, little kid good
Oh.
at something.
I
Yeah,
have-
he's
Good
got
at curing.
I mean
healing.
he's got an imagination and
Dude,
apparently
God, this is one of those road trip segments where I have seen half the movies and don't remember any of them. What have I done with my life?
I don't. Well, you know, you push the bad movies out of the brain and you retain the memories of the good ones.
Yeah, I guess so. This has a 7.3 on IMDb, but as we know, they gave Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake, a 5.5.
Yeah, there you go.
Like the IMDb is like its own sentient thing. But I saw this. I don't remember much about it. It has Kieran Culkin in it, and it has Eldon Henson.
And Gandolfini and a bunch of people.
Yeah. I remember Sharon Stone. But yeah, I don't remember anything else. National Lampoon Senior Trip. I definitely didn't see this.
Fuck it, too.
Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, his debut.
Wow,
I
Jeremy
remember
Renner.
seeing this. There's a lot of National
You
Lampoon.
know what I
set
read
in
the
there.
other day? Kristen Wiig was in the first season of Joe Somebody.
Oh.
Joe Somebody.
That reality show where I think it was Joe Somebody, where everyone
where
was
the
in
guy
on
is
it.
a millionaire. He pretends to be a millionaire, but he's...
No, that's Joe Millionaire. This was one where it was just an anonymous guy, thought he was at this mansion to meet love, but every other contestant and the host and the cameraman were all actors.
And Kristen Wiig was in
they
this?
figured out halfway through the season this guy was too nice of a guy to prank this hard. And when they did another season, they got more of an asshole. But Kristen Wiig was on that. Because she wasn't
funny.
anybody at that point.
Wow.
She was taking
wow.
a gig.
That's crazy.
And I watched that first season of that show. Because he wins a prize and Kristen Wiig falls down and hurts her ankle. So he gives his prize to her because he's a nice guy. And they're this whole show is set up to fuck with him. Ralph Garman is the show's host.
Really?
Kevin Smith's podcast partner.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There you go.
Power, 1986 Sidney Lumet movie. It has Gene Hackman, Richard Gere, Denzel Washington.
Yes.
Never saw this. I need to see this.
I can't believe I haven't seen this movie.
Yeah.
Who's in it again?
Richard Gere, Denzel, Gene Hackman, Marlon Brando. Name it wasn't Marlon Brando, but
I'm saying,
name an amazing actor.
But there may be a reason you haven't seen it.
Yeah, could
I
be.
feel like this is a movie that I should have seen.
Maybe it's The Watch.
It could be.
Got all these great names, but they made a bad movie. You don't know.
IMDb has this at 5.7.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Maybe so. Maybe it is The Watch.
Then there's a movie called Public, directed by Emilio Estevez.
No, so this is but this is coming out. Listen to who's in this. So Emilio Estevez, he directed it, but he's also in it. Alec Baldwin, Christian Slater, Jenna Maloney, Taylor Schilling, Michael K. Williams, Jeffrey Wright, Gabrielle Union. Really good cast. It's on the festival circuit right now.
Okay, well, he directed a film that his dad starred in a few years ago about, I think it's the one about a father who's trying to complete a hike that his son died trying to complete.
Yes, I remember that.
I'm pretty sure he directed that.
Yeah.
And so, my joke aside, it wouldn't surprise me if that had got good reviews and
but
now
again,
he pulled a bigger cast.
Terrible fucking title, man.
Yeah. The Public.
Yes, The Public. Really?
Drop the.
Yeah.
Just Public.
Roommates, which stars Peter Falk, D.B. Sweeney, and Julianne Moore. I never saw this. I do remember it coming out.
Yeah, me too.
7 Minutes in Heaven, Jennifer Connelly movie.
Yeah, man.
Feels like something I should have seen.
It's one of those John Hughes knockoffs, I think.
Yeah, 1985. Jennifer Connelly was probably 15, something like that. Yeah, she was 15. That sounds like it's probably the game where you go into the closet and all that.
I think he ends up over at her house and the romantic sparks
But I mean,
fly.
that was the game. 7 Minutes in Heaven I think that's even the game from 13 going on 30.
It is.
It's where
and also from Teen Wolf.
You put two, a boy and a girl in a closet for 7 minutes. And the idea is you never really know what they were doing in there. When in reality, most of them were probably I can't wait to get out of here.
Do you remember? Did you ever do that?
No, dude, I was a preacher's kid. I didn't even get to go to parties,
Oh, well.
let alone play.
Did you ever do that?
Fuck yeah, man.
Yeah, I never did.
Dude, I wish
Really?
I had your childhood.
Dude.
I'd have been.
I went right in.
Me too, man. I'd have been Frenching and shit. I'd have been like, you can let your doors right
There was an assumption,
Got that.
and the person that I was with, the people that I was with, went right in, too. I mean, it was just door closed, fuck it. When else are we going to make out?
A movie called Take Shelter, which I know came out recently. I did not see that. It's got Michael Shannon and Jessica Chastain in it.
Yeah, really good people.
I've heard that it's good. I think I've heard it is good. Yeah. And then there's a Welcome Home, Roxy Carmichael. Was that Winona Ryder?
I believe so. She gets welcomed home.
She does, but I don't remember.
It's Winona Ryder and Jeff Daniels.
Okay. I remember it coming out. I don't even remember what it was about, though. Small town prepares for the homecoming of superstar Roxy Carmichael, as does a young outsider who believes Roxy is her mother.
It's a prequel to Welcome Home, Roscoe Jenkins.
Yes.
Whatever that Martin Lawrence movie is.
Yes. And then Barrett would like all of you to know that there is a porno called A Wet Dream on Elm Street.
All right,
It's
listen.
listed on the Wikipedia page.
It's listed on the Wiki. Okay, so I use the Wikipedia page, which has studio titles, maybe some indies thrown in there and stuff like that. But it certainly doesn't have fucking pornos on there normally. So I was like, well, maybe this is like a Paris Hilton, trauma type of weird knockoff. No, it's a fucking porno. like a porno. And I watched some of it.
Yeah.
What year was it made?
I mean, it was probably 86 or something like that.
Wow.
A porn from the 80s is no good. There's nothing good about that.
Wow.
I didn't watch much of it, trust me.
So that will do it for Ohio. You had a lot of pretty good movies in there.
We really did, yeah.
I
got stuff I need to see. I need to see Small Soldiers again. I need to see Anomalisa. And I need to see
Welcome to Collinwood.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
But yeah, a lot of good stuff in there. All right, well, that'll do it for this week. Keep going to SinCast presented by Cinemasins on Facebook and comment on this very episode. Keep going to SoundCloud. We have Cinemasins Twitter, Reddit, and we have a Patreon.
We do. It's got perks for Patreons.
I've got perks too.
You are rubbing,
my nipples.
Yep.
You've got perks. Feel these nipples.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you can see that live if you were hanging out with us last
Jeremy
Thursday.
is always feeling his nipples.
Yes, constantly.
Yeah, whenever you listen to a Sins video, he's probably rubbing his nipple.
At least one.
Yeah, at least one. Yes.
1.5.
They sensitive,
average.
them nipples.
Especially when I'm ranting and narrating about my college ex-girlfriend.
That's right. But that'll do it for this week. It's Chris Atkins and Jeremy Scott and Barrett Scher. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
I saw this one. It was one of those, somebody collected a bunch of tweets that roasted other people, but this woman had written something about, like, her name was Beverly, and she'd written, like, my sister died in a house fire, but her nightstand Bible was completely untouched by the flames. What a unique message and gift from God or whatever. And the reply that roasted her was like, but Beverly, your sister died.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, if God was going to do an act of miracle, why would he save the Bible and let your sister burn to a crisp?
Millions of those all over the place.
He's going to make a statement by doing that. Fuck the humans. I'm saving this book.
Yeah. Good God.
Emails?
Cleveland rocks. Cleveland rocks.
God, I vowed on my way here not to say anything that you'd have to cut, and I've already, like, fucked it up.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have even brought it up. God, I suck. Reset. Hi.
Yay.
Not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm recording The Grinch tonight, like the original one, to watch with the boy when I get home. It's somehow an hour on ABC.
Because of commercials?
They're fooling you.
But it's like 23 minutes.
They're going to give you that Entertainment Tonight bullshit where every segment is going to be like, on the last section you saw this, and it's going to be highlights of previously on The Grinch, and then they're going to play like 5 minutes, and then like, coming up after the break.
Yeah.
Cindy Lou Who gives him a heart.
Yeah.
Hold on, I got to see how long it actually
They're
is.
getting egregious with that shit. My wife was watching, what was she watching? She was watching something the other day she hadn't seen in a while. It was a 2-hour and 10-minute movie that they were broadcasting at like 3.5 hours or something.
Oh,
and I was
really?
like, there's almost half as much ads here as there is movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it was The Last Samurai.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a decent movie, and it's long to begin with, but you can't fool me. When I see a runtime of 3.5 hours, I know something's up.
It's 26 minutes.
Yeah, so it's going to be filler, or you know what it's going to be? It's going to be ads for that. No,
You know what?
Disney won't
You know
run
what
ads
it
for the
might
new
be?
one.
You know what it might be? You know how most television episodes are 22 minutes? It may have just crossed a threshold.
Oh, yeah, maybe
So
so.
where they couldn't do 30-minute block of it. They had to make it an hour.
So that's going to be 34 minutes of commercials. Now, I'm recording it so I can fast forward
I would
to 'em.
make it 45 and
Yeah.
then put in a Frosty the Snowman and you know, complete the difference there and make it an hour and a half. Yeah, that's one of my favorite Red Band trailer experiences. They used to, because Red Band trailers were sort of banned for a while from like Regal and Carmike and all those, because for some reason, well, I'm sure people were putting Red Band trailers on movies that were not rated
Right.
R. but then like somewhere around 2007, 2008, Regal was like, we're gonna lift that ban for some movies that are R-rated, and be sure to put this on that. And so, like, Knocked Up, that was the first time I experienced that. Was like, she's like, I have something I really need to tell you. I'm pregnant. Fuck off.
What?
I'm pregnant with emotion with your baby. What was it? What do you think I was fucking with, a dick skin condom?